Okay. Hello everybody, welcome back to Below the 38. This is episode 31. It's the K-League 2 preview show for the upcoming weekend and also the Women's Asian Champions League semi-final preview. It's a really big game, a really big week of football coming up in K-League 2 and women's football. K-League 1 is done until after the World Cup. The weekend of July the 4th is the next time we'll have a K-League 1 preview show. So today, myself, Andrew and Mike are here for K-League 2 and Women's Asian Champions League preview. We're both going to be at that game, by the way, on Wednesday. So we'll definitely have a little bit of a chat about that towards the end of the show. And if it's as interesting as it appears to be, or it's on paper it should be, we might be able to get a podcast in from the stadium, a very, very short one perhaps. Mike, how are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad.
If you go onto our website again, below the 38korea.com, there are videos, stadium guides, there are different round previews. They've all been done for K-League 1 so far, but now the K-League 1 is gone. I might do a couple of these for K-League 2. Please feel free to let us know how you think we're doing. We'd like to make our shows and our content a little bit better. This is the last week I think we're going to have podcasts kind of like this. With the World Cup coming up, there's a really good chance now to fix a couple of the issues with our podcast. We plan to do that for the next 6 or 7 weeks. And hopefully, when everything resumes as normal in July, we'll have a slightly more rounded product. If you also go onto our website, there should be interviews there with Kazu, Takahashi, and Iho-J. They both spoke to me after Buchan's win against Hwaseong Steelers on Sunday night. So some mixed zone interviews with 2 K-League players. But forget about K-League 1. Did I say K-League 2? Forget about K-League 1. We're talking K-League 2 now. Round 13 fixtures are coming up. Round 12 had one incredibly important result in Hwaseong. We're all Chowdhury fans in this podcast now. There's only 3 rounds to go till the World Cup. There are matches this coming Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Yet again, there isn't really a standout fixture. But nonetheless, let's crack on with this. Busan IPark, having lost 3-2 in Hwaseong, are the team that sit out round 13. Mike, there are 3 games on Saturday in Gyeongnam, Jeonnam, and Cheongju. What are your thoughts? Do you want me to read out the fixtures first?
I guess we can take a listen of step by step, though just a wee bit of trivia before we do get started. This might be round 13, but very few teams will be playing their 13th game. Eventually there's going to be a round which is higher than the actual number of matches played, so look out for that.
Yeah, it's Busan are the ones taking the rest this weekend. Half the teams to this point have not played the number of fixtures that were supposed to be on the particular round. So the weekend starts with Gyeongnam against Suwon FC. That's 4:30 on Saturday. And at the same time, on the south coast, it's Jeonnam Dragons near the relegation zone versus Gimhae, who are currently 17th and bottom of K-League 2. And then 7 o'clock on Saturday, just as well, it's a long weekend. Monday is a red day. It's a bank holiday in Korea. Otherwise, I don't think there'd be too many people traveling to see Cheongju versus Hwaseong. That's on at 7 o'clock on Saturday. So there's Saturday's 3 matches, Mike.
Right, so yeah, just first off the bat, you really think Suwon FC should be at least sitting second on Saturday night. You expect them to go down there and dispatch Gyeongnam. But Jeonnam versus Gimhae, could this actually be intriguing? It's the bottom 2 clubs? I don't think so. And we can look at that on goal difference. The Dragons are on -6. It's not great, but it's not exactly disastrous either. Gimhae, -19. That is disastrous. Now, Jeonnam have had a few issues off the field. If you've been following what's going on there, there's been social media posts from people connected to the club, which have been rescinded, etc. So a bit of drama there as well. But I think this weekend is probably a good opportunity for Jeonnam as a club to come back together, get 3 points, and then maybe try and turn their season around after the World Cup break. Cheongju Hwaseong, I would say, yeah, Hwaseong, well, they could well be a point behind the Bluewings after this game. And really, the surprise package, I think, this season, Chowdhury's men are, well, they've really come together and becoming quite a prospect at the moment. and they're going to play a team who haven't even won once this season. So let's expect a draw down in Cheongju.
Yes, 12 games, 0 wins, 10 draws, 2 defeats. I mean, it's just unbelievable stuff. They were 2-0 up at the weekend away to Cheonan Dragons. There were 8,500 people at that game, which is a great attendance for like two teams fighting it out to avoid relegation from K-League 2. 8,500 people. Cheongju went 2-0 up and were pegged back to draw 2-2. They were leading late against Gimpo the weekend before that, but again they were pegged back late. Can you imagine if they had held on to the points in those two games? They went to 14 points, which would be 11th, equal with Paju Frontier, and suddenly their season would be looking a whole lot different. However, as it is, play 12, 1-0, drawn 10, and yeah, it's absolutely extraordinary stuff to see how their season is playing out so far. So Gimhae then, obviously the other team haven't won a game all season, but they haven't drawn 10 matches either. They've only drawn 2 and lost 9. Cheonan Dragons, just to finish up on them, they have 1 win for the season. That was also on the opening round, so they've gone 10 matches now without a win. Just really, really strange stuff. Again, a team that was tipped to finish into playoff spots at the start of the season are now basically fighting to avoid relegation. So let's move on to Sunday's matches. There are 3 games on Sunday. Yongin versus Cheongnam-Asan. Cheongnam-Asan having a good season. Sunday at 4:30. Later on that day, a big game for Daegu. They host Ansan Greeners. 3 points on the line for Daegu to get themselves back in playoff contention for K-League 2. And then Seoul Disneyland host Songnam FC, a game involving 2 teams don't particularly like each other because for a very small period of time they were located quite close to each other. They're not located that particularly close to each other anymore. But also last season, Songnam eliminated Seoul Disneyland in the playoffs thanks to Ruiz's 93rd minute winner. So a bit of revenge in the air, possibly.
Possibly, though we're going to have to defend E-Land since I'm wearing a shirt of the original E-Land club in South Korea at the moment. But anyway, let's just go from the top and go through the order of those, because the early fixture will be Yongin Asan. Can Asan beat Yongin? Can Yongin make it 3 and 5? I'm going to be honest, both of those teams need to give us a reason to really talk about them more, and I'm not sure that's going to happen this weekend. One of them might win and one of them might draw. But Daegu versus Ansan, I'm not sure what you want to talk about there either. Daegu should be well in the mix for promotion after this. And again, they could be just 2 points behind the Bluewings going into Monday's set of fixtures. And again, I keep mentioning that for a reason, and we'll get onto that very shortly. As for the now Mokdong-based club, I think Songnam are going to smell blood. Seoul E-Land look like a wounded animal at the moment, and Songnam, they've been at least running a tight ship this season. They concede just under a goal per game, so that gives Seoul, they really have their work cut out here if they want to get their season back on track, because they were pushing for the top 2 for a very brief while. I'd probably say this one is the pick of the round if you're looking for any match to watch. Seoul E-Land versus Songnam, Sunday 7 KST is probably I would say, the most intriguing game of this set of fixtures. But moving on to Monday.
I see my Google document is being edited, by the way. The 4:30 game on Monday had originally said Suwon Samsung, I think, versus Cheonan City. Now it says Instagram FC versus Cheonan. That's Monday at 4:30. Suwon and Cheonan share a KTX station. They also share a station on line number 1. So you would expect, or you would hope, that a decent crowd would come from Cheonan for that game, because they're also having a good season. But a good crowd won't come from Cheonan for that game. And then at the same time, I wouldn't mind going to watch this match if it wasn't on Monday at 4:30. Again, it is a bank holiday, but still, back to work on Tuesday. Paju versus Gimpo. Paju are an interesting addition to K-League 2 for one reason in particular, and it's that Gimpo finally have a team that's located reasonably close by to them. They don't need to go on like a 1-hour journey to get to their closest away game in K-League 2. For Paju, well, that's exactly the same thing. So one team is north of the Han River, the other team is south of the Han River. They're very, very close to each other. 4:30 on Monday, Paju versus Gimpo.
And well, incidentally, Gimpo won't be having to travel much very soon anyway, will they? But yeah, I'm actually expecting Yongin and E-Land to win their games this weekend, which means that I think Gimpo might be shutting the trapdoor on the promotion race or drawing a line behind them. From 8th downwards, I think they may end up starting to be cut off. As I'm sure Gimpo should be going to Padua and picking up a win. They shouldn't really accept anything less than that. But for... Again, I'm not sure why you edited your document this way, but for the Bluewings at home to Cheonan, the reason I kept mentioning teams being just points behind them is because on paper, Bluewings should be picking up 3 points here. But I do wonder, can we get a little bit of psychology in there? Because Bluewings could find themselves in 3rd place with several teams either a point or 2 points behind them. And also, Cheonan are in better form over the last 5 games. They've picked up 8 points in the last 5. Bluewings have picked up only 7. Now, imagine telling a Bluewings fan that at the beginning of the season, that in round 13, Cheonan will be in better form than you. I don't think they'd be too pleased and a little bit worried that we might be seeing a potential, well, there is now a potential 4th season on the horizon for Suwon Bluewings in the K-League 2, unless the players prove they've got the discipline to hold their nerve under pressure. And this could be a great experience for the Suwon Bluewings team to actually see that pressure and see off Cheonan. If Bluewings win this game, I would probably say that they really have the mentality to get promoted. If they don't, then the major question marks are going to be on what could happen again this season over at the Suwon World Cup Stadium.
Yeah, if they fail to pick up 3 points on Monday, I also expect the fans might be looking for a slightly better performance too. The boos could be ringing around Big Bird again, which would be unfortunate to hear, but I don't think it's all that surprising. So let's move on to the games that we're going to. I'm not going to again that I know of yet. I've got no plans to watch a K-League 2 game this weekend. The Bluewings game against Cheonan I would go to if it wasn't on a Monday at 4:30, and then to replace that game, I don't really see a huge amount that I want to go see. You're right that Seoul E-Land versus Songnam is probably the pick of the matches in K-League 2, but it's Mukdong. It's Mukdong on a Sunday night. There's a running track. There's no temporary seating. So you were going down to Daegu. Is this your first trip?
Indeed, it will be our first trip down Daegu way. I'm quite excited for it. No offense to Daegu fans, but I think when you're a perennial K-League 2 watcher, you're always kind of happy when one of the bigger teams comes down, because it gives you an opportunity to see a game you might not get to see again. We had that. We were really excited by the Bluewings, but then they wouldn't go away, and they're here for, and they just keep staying in the K2.
That's very ordinary now, yeah.
Yeah, it was exciting, and now just get lost. Go to K1 and leave us alone. Permanent Ansan have failed, never beaten Suwon Bluewings, so that's a problem for us. But yeah, I'm excited by this one. It's the stadium everyone says is the marker for. I know some people complain about the size, but how many teams actually would even fill that anyway, week in, week out? So you've been there. I guess you can give me and the listeners a few tips about that stadium.
Yeah, the last time I was there it was over COVID though, and it was the opening weekend of the 2022 season. It was freezing. It was February. It is a beautiful stadium, and it was sold out that day. They played against FC Seoul. I think they lost. Daegu lost 2-0 on the day, but it's in a great location. The Daegu Stadium is wonderfully located, and this is one of the major advantages over the World Cup Stadium, because I went to the World Cup Stadium last year when they played against Barcelona, and that's much more difficult to get to. You have to take the subway to where the baseball stadium is, and then from there it's still about a 25-minute walk. There's no subway stop that goes directly to the World Cup Stadium. So there used to be a small ballpark and a small municipal football stadium in central Daegu. They were both knocked down, and in their place is Daegu IMD, I think it is called, Bank Park, something like this, Daegu Forest Arena, it's all otherwise known. It's got a bunch of different names. But yeah, it's great. It's a great spot. It's right beside one of the 2 main train stations in Daegu, and it's a short walk under the tracks to some of the better places to hang out after a match. So Daegu, I saw as well today that Daegu, again, the stadium is small enough, it holds about 12,000, but Daegu have the highest number of sold seats this season. I think K-League 1 and K-League 2, they're up at about 75% of the tickets are sold for all of their home matches so far this season. And they did bring a good crowd with them. They brought about 2,500 people to Suwon the weekend before last. So they do. There is potential there for a good set of Daegu fans for sure. So good luck with that one. Very, very quickly, go on, prediction.
If Daegu fans are listening to this and you do see any of the Ansan Frown supporters around, come say hi, come buy us a beer or something, because you will be taking 3 points from us. Let's just see how low Ansan can keep the score down, though. It's a good laugh being in the bottom half of the K-League 2 sometimes. Yeah, I have actually been to the Daegu World Cup Stadium as well for what it was actually made for, athletics.
Yeah.
And so, and we'll of course be getting to, before the Sunday in midweek, I'll be getting to Melbourne City versus Tokyo. I know we saw Melbourne City together in the Champions League at Seoul World Cup Stadium, so I'll get to complete the set of Melbourne City on Wednesday. So I'm excited by that. Also, I complete the set of Melbourne women's teams. Maybe I'll have to look that up, because I saw Melbourne victory in the first ever Asian Champions League, which was played in Yongin in 2019, 18-19, I believe. So that game actually kicks off the big one on Wednesday, which I guess we should talk about.
Right, so 2 o'clock on Wednesday at the Suwon Football Stadium, the municipal stadium next to the KTUS ballpark. There is a double header of Women's Asian Champions League football. Semi-finals are both on the same day, 2 o'clock. It's Melbourne versus Tokyo. Later on day at 7 o'clock, as you're probably aware by now if you're listening to this podcast, it's Suwon FC against Naegoyang from Pyongyang. This particular fixture is so big at this point that there have been articles right across, certainly in the English-speaking world, related to this. The Naegoyang squad arrived in Incheon Airport on Sunday via Beijing. They were met by, I don't know how many, but certainly dozens and dozens of people with placards saying welcome and the name of the team, Naegoyang FC, you are welcome. Hwanyang Hamida, welcome, welcome, welcome. So the brief images I saw, they did their best not to acknowledge all this. They kind of kept their heads down and just kept walking towards where the bus was, and that's it. I mean, I don't know what they've been doing today on Monday. As we were reporting on the show last week, they've asked AFC to keep their itinerary locked down, but they are going to be playing against Suwon FC women's team on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. Mike and I will both be there. I'll be in the so-called away fan section. I didn't go there by choice. There simply weren't any other tickets available. So, yeah, this is the big game. 7 o'clock on Wednesday. They've already met this season in the group stages. Naegoyang beat Suwon 3-0. They followed that up with a quarterfinal victory over Ho Chi Minh City, also 3-0. So this Saturday match in Suwon against Suwon FC. They've only been around since 2012, Naegoyang, but they've had a very impressive season by this season's Asian Champions League. Can you tell us anything else about this match, Mike?
Right. It's just worth pointing out that in the Asian Women's Champions League, they've been playing the group stages in different host countries, and they've been playing for a week or so, and they play all the fixtures, and then they don't do home and away fixtures throughout the season. So basically, Korea is going to host the semi-finals and the final round. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. The final is this weekend in the same stadium in Suwon.
Right. So, yeah, there's a lot of intrigue for this fixture for so many reasons. I mean, just to give some insight on Suwon FC, it's going to be my third Suwon WFC game of the season, and they should probably be top of the WK League, but they missed the last round to prepare for this game. Had they won that, which they should have, they should be sitting top. So they are the best team in South Korea. They got former Chelsea star Ji So-yoon. There's an interview on our Insta on B38 and on our collaborating partners in WK News. And we've got former Birmingham midfielder Cheonan. She's got 3 in the league this season, so she's doing it. But what's quite interesting, recently in one of the international women's youth tournaments, the North Korean women's team refused to shake hands before the game, or at least they didn't shake hands before the game with the Japanese team. But I wonder how that's going to play out here on Wednesday night, because bear in mind that Suwon FC have at least one, possibly 2 Japanese starters. In fact, certainly one, because Haruhi Suzuki is the joint top scorer in the WK League this season, so I imagine she will be starting this game. So I'm really just intrigued to see how these situations that have occurred around athletes from North Korea, how that's going to play out on Wednesday evening.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the language from the unification ministry over here, they were obviously the ministry which approved the visas for the entire squad, the playing staff and medical staff, managers, I guess, I don't know, trainers, other members of the staff. But the head of the unification ministry said that he might go to watch the game on Wednesday. He's not even guaranteed to be there himself. Banners, flags, anthems, songs of that kind of sort will not be permitted. It's a Champions League match, so it's not like there's going to be national anthems anyway. But in terms of flags in the stands, the unification flag, you've probably seen that one before, the white flag with the blue silhouette of the unified Korea, that's not going to be allowed to be flown inside the stadium. And like you're saying there about the handshakes, I wouldn't be surprised. I got nothing to back up this opinion yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if everything will just be done to avoid awkward moments like that. Perhaps the teams will just walk out onto the pitch, they'll stand there while photographs taken, and then they'll disperse. I think if you're going to get the situation where players are not shaking hands with their opponents before a match, then just don't bother even inserting this into the pre-match nonsense, because there's just no point. Like, you should be shaking hands. That's absolutely what you should be doing, because this is just part of the game now, the pre-match ritual. If you're not going to do it, there's going to be something awkward about it, then just don't bother enforcing it, I think.
Yeah, I think it's also intriguing that we don't know much about above the 38, if you like, in terms of club teams. But the North Korean women's teams have been pretty irresistible across at least Asian international football in recent years, and they've been delivering some heavy defeats to the South Korean national team, haven't they? So I think it's got potential to be a really fascinating contest, to be honest. Probably, I think I'm more interested in this game and the potential for it than quite a lot of the K-League fixtures we've seen and previewed this season.
From here on in, you got to wonder how many games in the Suwon Stadium will be as interesting as the game that's going to take place there on Wednesday. It's a pity they can't play against each other in the final. One of these two teams will be knocked out. If it's Nagoyang, we know that they have visas that would allow them to stay in Korea up until next Sunday. But if they are beaten on Wednesday, it's thought that they will go home on Thursday. So they're not going to be hanging around to watch the final. So yeah, there we go. It's Nagoyang versus Suwon FC, 7 o'clock on Wednesday. We'll both be at that. It's a sellout crowd of around 6,700, I think. Apparently there's going to be no chanting. There's going to be no unification banners. I wouldn't be surprised if certain things just get snuck in on game day. It should be very interesting to see how this all goes down. What time are you said you're going to both matches, so yeah. Like, is that a situation where you're going to get into the second game as soon as the gates are open to watch the players warming up?
No, I'm not sure. I think we'll be having a break between the two games, frankly speaking, and to be honest, I'm quite intrigued to see what security everything's going to be like in and around that. Again, with security, parking, everything, it's going to be such a different atmosphere to usual games at Suwon. I'm just double checking because I think this is worth checking out. But Do KT Wiz have the baseball team
No,
have a home?
They
Okay.
don't. They're
That
away
would-
that day.
That would
Can you
be-
imagine if they were playing at home on the same day? It would
That-
just be...
That would be a security disaster, I'd imagine, when you've got whatever, 13, 14, 15,000 baseball fans converging next to the stadium.
Yeah, with minimal amount of parking, and it's not beside a subway station. Yeah, the nearest subway station, Hwaseong, is 2.5 kilometers away. So yeah, fortunately, there's no baseball on in the KT Wiz Park next door, so presumably all the parking will be reserved for football fans. Can't wait. We will both be there, and if you're lucky, you might get an emergency or a special podcast from Suwon Stadium on Wednesday night. Is that our part?
Indeed.
Are we done? Yeah, so check out our YouTube feed. There should also be The Weekend That Was with Luke. That should also be in there somewhere. And from now until the end of the first weekend in June, there'll be no K-League 1 previewed on our channel. It's K-League 2 from here on in. Thanks for watching, everybody. Goodbye.